Two horned animals are often compared across time. Triceratops lived millions of years ago, while the rhinoceros lives today. At first glance, their bodies seem to follow the same design. Horns, massive bodies, and forward-facing heads make the comparison feel obvious. It looks like nature reused the same solution. But evolution does not repeat designs just because they look familiar. Popular images turn Triceratops into a prehistoric rhino. The idea feels intuitive and easy to accept. But biology is not built on intuition. Similar shapes can hide very different systems. In nature, resemblance does not mean equivalence. Two animals can look alike while solving different physical problems. Triceratops and the rhinoceros evolved under completely separate constraints. This episode is not about strength or confrontation. It is about how bodies handle force, how Triceratops manages load, and how the rhinoceros responds to it. The illusion begins when we judge animals by appearance. Horns suggest power, and size suggests dominance. But anatomy is defined by structure, not by what looks impressive. To see the difference, we must stop comparing shapes and start comparing systems. Weight, balance, and control reveal far more than surface similarity ever could, because the real difference is not the horns, the size, or the era. It is how each body was designed to work. And once that is understood, the illusion disappears. At first glance, the horns of Triceratops and the horn of a rhinoceros look identical in purpose. But that similarity is only visual. Function begins beneath the surface. Triceratops carries three horns as permanent parts of its head. They are always present, always loaded, and always affecting balance. The body must support that weight at every moment. The rhinoceros carries a very different kind of horn. It grows, wears down, and can break without damaging the skull. It is not a constant burden on the body. This single difference changes everything. Triceratops must constantly manage the weight and leverage of its horns. The rhinoceros only engages its horn when behavior demands it. In Triceratops, the head is a structural load. It shapes posture, balance, and movement even at rest. The body is built around carrying that load forward. In the rhinoceros, the head is not a load-bearing system. It is a platform for action. The body remains flexible until force is briefly applied. One system is always under tension. The other is mostly at rest. Triceratops lives with continuous mechanical demand. The rhinoceros lives with intermittent demand. Because of this, Triceratops cannot ignore its horns for even a moment. They define how the animal stands, turns, and stabilizes itself. The rhinoceros, by contrast, can move freely without constant structural penalty. Its horn does not dictate posture when it is not being used. So while both animals appear horned, their horns belong to entirely different systems. One reshapes the body permanently. The other responds only when needed. A large head creates a mechanical problem. Weight must be controlled, balanced, and supported. Both Triceratops and the rhinoceros face this problem, but solve it differently. In Triceratops, the solution begins at the neck. It is short, thick, and built to resist movement. Stability matters more than flexibility. Limited movement is not a flaw here. For Triceratops, reduced motion helps control constant forward load and prevents unwanted rotation of the head. This neck is designed for sustained pressure. It holds weight over time, rather than reacting in short bursts. The system favors endurance over speed. The rhinoceros approaches the same problem differently. Its neck allows more movement, accepting motion in exchange for responsiveness. Instead of holding pressure, the rhinoceros releases it. Force is applied briefly, then the system relaxes again. This creates a clear contrast. Triceratops is built to resist force continuously. The rhinoceros is built to deliver force intermittently. Because Triceratops always carries its load, its movements are deliberate and controlled. Sudden changes in direction, are mechanically expensive. The rhinoceros pays a different cost. Its system allows quicker reactions, but only for short durations before energy must be conserved. Neither system is superior by default. Each reflects a different answer to the same physical challenge: how to manage a massive head. One answer prioritizes control and resistance. The other prioritizes movement and response. These choices shape every motion that follows. And this difference in the neck changes how force travels through the entire body. From the head, the system continues downward. The frill of Triceratops is often mistaken for decoration. Its size suggests display, but structures that large usually exist to solve mechanical problems. This frill sits directly behind the skull, changing how the head connects to the body. It is positioned where forces must be managed, not where ornaments belong. As the head pushes forward, the frill increases surface area for force distribution. Pressure does not stay at the neck. It spreads across a wider structure. This design stabilizes the head under load. It reduces unwanted rotation and helps keep the horns aligned when pressure is applied. But stabilization comes with a cost. The frill limits how freely the head can turn. Mobility is sacrificed to gain control. The rhinoceros has no equivalent structure. Its head connects to the body without a rigid extension behind it. Without a frill, the rhinoceros gains freedom of motion. The head can pivot more easily, but stability must come from muscle control instead. This difference reveals two priorities. Triceratops reduces movement to protect alignment. The rhinoceros accepts movement to preserve flexibility. One system spreads force through structure. The other manages force through motion. Neither choice is accidental. And this single structural difference reshapes how each animal carries weight, turns its head, and moves through its environment. Body mass is not just about size. It determines how energy moves through the body. In Triceratops and the rhinoceros, mass is arranged very differently. Triceratops carries much of its mass toward the front. The head and shoulders dominate the body, anchoring it firmly to the ground. This forward-weighted design increases stability. Once moving, the body resists sudden changes in direction. Momentum favors straight, controlled motion. The rhinoceros distributes mass more evenly. Weight is spread across the body, allowing quicker adjustments and easier redirection of movement. Because of this balance, the rhinoceros can build momentum quickly and release it just as fast. Energy comes in short, controlled bursts. Triceratops follows a different rule. Momentum builds slowly and dissipates slowly. The system favors persistence over rapid response. This difference affects how each animal turns. Triceratops must plan movement carefully. Direction changes cost time and energy. The rhinoceros turns more easily. Balanced mass allows quicker pivots, even though each burst of motion cannot be sustained for long. Neither approach is superior in isolation. Each represents a compromise between stability and mobility shaped by different environments. Mass and momentum quietly define how these animals move, rest, and react. From here, the consequences of specialization become clearer. Triceratops represents a highly specialized body plan. Its structure works extremely well under specific conditions, but only within a narrow range of environments. Every major feature of Triceratops supports the same solution. Horns, frill, neck, and mass all reinforce one mechanical strategy. This level of specialization increases efficiency but reduces flexibility. When conditions change, tightly optimized systems struggle to adapt. The rhinoceros follows a different path. Its body is less extreme, but more adaptable. No single feature dominates the entire system. Because its design is not locked to one solution, the rhinoceros can function across multiple habitats. The system tolerates variation. This adaptability does not make the rhinoceros perfect. It simply makes the system resilient to change rather than optimized for one moment. In evolutionary terms, flexibility often outlasts perfection. Systems that bend survive longer than systems that only excel under ideal conditions. This difference explains why one system disappeared while the other remains, not because of strength, but because of adaptability. Triceratops and the Rhinoceros were never equivalent animals separated by time. They represent two fundamentally different answers to the same physical challenges. Their resemblance exists only at the surface. Horns, size, and posture create familiarity, but familiarity hides the mechanics that truly matter. Triceratops was built as a permanent load-bearing structure. Its body continuously resisted force, distributing weight through stability rather than motion. The rhinoceros was built as a responsive system. Its body remains flexible, delivering force only when required, then returning to balance. That difference defines their fate. One system depended on stability within a narrow world. The other endured by adapting as the world changed.